effect, that's the first movement of your reciprocal belonging. If you go out and you do something to improve the ecology, then you've taken a step towards belonging, and by rights you should have right to access that as well. I'm going to pull Adrian up on stage. I mean, it's a $1 million question, but could you sum it up in 2 minutes? Or would you rather not?
Oh my word.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adrian I want Adrian to tell you about a water meadow or marshes about 15 minutes walk from here, the return of the Aberset, and what we can do to improve that. Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. This is a great surprise and a great honour. I've just bunked off work for an hour to come listen to the music. As Nick says, 15-minute walk from here is not a mile and a half from here. In fact, I don't think it's a mile from here. Are some ancient meadows that have been a place where I've hung out and explored for many years. I moved here in the 80s and I started to explore these meadows then, and they're amazing. I mean, they've been meadows since time immemorial. They were part of the land that the abbey used to feed the occupants and the visitors to the abbey. So they're of great cultural and historical importance. In the late 1980s, gravel companies wanted to dig the gravel out from underneath them. They'd already dug out all the gravel on one side of the river, all the way out where the gravel pits are, if you know that part of Reading, or that part of the world. But they wanted to dig out the meadows north of the river, and someone knocked on my door and said, could you sign this petition? And I did, and I got quite heavily involved with a group called RAGE, Reading Against Gravel Extraction. And it went to public inquiry, and we won. So with that, we tried to get something happening to protect them, and the best we ever achieved really was to get them recorded in the borough local plan. So it's in a document, it's protected against development. In those days there wasn't so much emphasis put on floodplain storage, but now there is, and it is floodplain. And if you ever drive up the A33 from the motorway into Reading, on your left you'll come across an area of meadow. That's a big surprise. That's a really big surprise. I'm supposed to be leaving the work and then going to the Lido. Anyway, I'm not. So I'm here. So floodplain water storage has now become a much bigger issue. And if you go along the A33 relief road, you'll find in the winter the fields to your left just look like a lake. But they dry out in the summer. So during the winter when they're flooded, they attract lots of wildfowl, lots of wildlife, and then they dry out in the summer and it all becomes quiet and sterile. So a few years ago, a few of us started a two-pronged approach, one of which was to try and work with the landowners, the local authority, the government, the Environment Agency, some local experts to see if we could come up with a project. But at the same time, a few of us went out with some quite surreptitious little activities. So we threw bags of sand into some ditches and blocked them up, a bit like beavers do. And a few things happened. I won't list them, I've only got 2 minutes, I've probably used all of that. But the result was astonishing. And we created a marshland, but in those days the area was also grazed. So the combination of the flooding and the cows meant that we had this incredible wet grazing marsh which attracted some amazing birds. In 1 month, 50%, over 50% of all the rare birds reported in Berkshire came from a meadow 1,500 metres in that direction. The rest of Berkshire just didn't hold a candle to it because it was just so diverse. And it's been like that more or less ever since. But 18 months ago, the cattle vanished. The farmer took the cattle off. He actually took them to Scotland and sold them as Highland beef. But the lack of grazing meant that the marsh started to get overwhelmed by vegetation. Not only were the birds being kind of displaced, some birds liked it, but not all the variety of birds that were there. But not only were they being displaced, we couldn't see they were being displaced because it was so overgrown. The council hadn't cut the footpaths. It all became quite a sad story. And at the same time, 6 years of conversation with all these organisations has actually come to an end. They just stopped talking. Nothing happened. Not a single blade of grass got trodden by these organisations that had been sitting around in Zoom meetings for 6 years. £27,500 of grant had been offered to the farmer. He hadn't taken it. He did nothing, and now he's gone. So back in the summer, or towards the end of the summer, 4 of us went out and trampled a bit of marsh, and an avocet turned up 3 days later. Now it's the first avocet that's landed in Reading since the 70s, when there was great sludge beds down there, further down, which are now where B&Q and the football stadium and all that kind of area is. So the first avocet turned up, and we thought this is a great validation of what we've just done. Let's go and do some more. The avocet left after a couple of days. We went back, we did some more. This time there were a few more of us, and lo and behold, an avocet came back. It wasn't the same avocet. The photographers came along, took pictures of it, so we never had 2 avocets in the space of 3 weeks after 2 work parties. So we thought, right, let's try and make this even bigger. So a couple of weeks after that, we went up mob-handed, I say mob-handed, 18 of us, and we couldn't get onto the marsh because the avocet was still there, so we can't disturb that. Let's go and create another marsh. In 30 minutes, we'd created another wetland adjacent to the one we'd started, not in sight of it, because we didn't want the avocet to see what we were doing, but we created a whole new marsh.
Show them how. You've got a big cow.
In Wellies,
just go and
just in Wellies, trample
down.
the marsh, and that's all it is. And the birds moved in, it's like a magnet. So we've planned another one, which is on the 22nd. Now you've got something here on the 21st. So on the 22nd, we're going to go out to the marsh at 10 o'clock in the morning, and this looks like, so I set up a WhatsApp group to encourage people I know to take part. We now have 36 people in that WhatsApp group, and when it's quiet at the moment because I don't want to fill it full of messages until 2 weeks before the actual event. But when we start, we're going to ask all those people to bring somebody else. That's all we need, people in Wellies. We've got people here asking if they can bring their children. Yes, you can bring your children. We need calves. In this herd of human cows, we need human calves. So you don't even have to pay a lot of money for Wellies. So on the 27th, I think the main purpose of me being here tonight was to come and see Nick, but the secondary purpose is to ask you if you'd like to spend half an hour, that's all it is. Yes. We're going to spend a bit more than that because we turn up at 10 and we spend half an hour just looking at the marsh, just to get to understand, because a lot of people don't realise it's there. Certainly a lot of people don't recognise all the different birds that are there. Sadly, one person is going to go out into that marsh and frighten all the birds away. But the birds think that one person has just disturbed the marsh. They've all flown away. So 50 people turn up and trample the marsh. 20 minutes later, half an hour later, they've created a whole new wetland and then disappear. The bird comes back and thinks, that one person's been busy. But the impact could be magnificent. And the idea is that not only are we going to go out on the 22nd of December and trample this marsh, we haven't got the landowner's permission. The landowner, he won't even answer the phone. He won't respond to emails. Nothing will happen. We can't try to contact the landowner. So we're just going to go and do it. And the idea subsequently is that on that same Sunday, so throughout the year, we'll get together again and again. Every month we'll get together on the 3rd Sunday of the month. In the spring, we just go and listen to the bird song. Yes. When the summer comes along and the paths get overgrown and the council won't pick up the phone to clear it, we'll go and clear the footpaths. Bingo.
In the nicest way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just and this is literally just down the road. So you're all welcome. If any of you have that old-fashioned thing called Facebook, there's Friends of the Lower Kennet, folk. There is a group that I set up years ago to try and to have it as an entity should some development threat come along. But now it seems to be a better opportunity to use it to create community participation in those meadows down there. So if you want to join us and you've got Facebook, have a look. So, Friends of the Lower Kennet, folk. Now I can't think of a more appropriate acronym. But that's where the details of that work are going to be shared. And there's a WhatsApp group. Or
give your number to Adrian and like.
No, I'll just spam you with all sorts of stuff.
No. We need a collective database involving.
On the Facebook post is the link to the WhatsApp group. So just join the WhatsApp group and then all the subsequent communication will be on there. I'll get Nick to send that link out in any communication that he gets from...
Well, I don't know if we can send it out because there's no... I don't know. Dan, do you have is this an email group? Is there?
You just said you're after one email address.
Yeah, well, I was hoping they'd go to you and give them.
Oh, right, okay. Well, give me your number.
Basically, if you'd like to be involved in a local group that isn't waiting for the landowners to improve the ecology of their area, moving a little bit further into some direct action involving singing and turning up to illegally blocked footpaths, to evictions, whatever it might be, we need to start it local, and we need to do it with folk music, because folk music is the song of the people. End of.
Would you be here?
Right. One more tune and we'll fuck off.
It's really